Dear children, welcome back to the online class of Sri Gokulam Public School. Last class we started the chapter employment, that is determination of employment output and income. Today let's study in detail about the first important topic of the chapter, namely aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the logical starting point of Keynesian macroeconomics or Keynesian theory of employment, output and income. John Maynard Keynes is the propounder of macroeconomic analysis. As you know, aggregate demand is the total demand for all the goods and services by the various sectors. Aggregate demand is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M in a four-sector model. C stands for consumption demand, I stands for investment demand, G stands for government demand, X minus M stands for net exports, that is export minus imports. Aggregate demand is equal to aggregate spending or aggregate expenditure. First, let us study in detail about the first important component of aggregate demand, that is C. First, we can study about consumption function or psychological law of consumption or propensity to consume. Consumption function expresses the functional relationship between consumption and income. Consumption depends upon income. Here, C is a function of Y. C stands for aggregate consumption, Y stands for aggregate income. Aggregate consumption depends upon aggregate income. Okay? Consumption function expresses the functional relationship between consumption and income. Okay? It can be expressed in the form of an equation. C is a function of Y. Consumption depends upon income. Okay? When we study consumption function or propensity to consume, we have two important concepts. First APC, second one MPC. APC means average propensity to consume. MPC means marginal propensity to consume. Propensity means desire to consume. Average propensity to consume means the ratio between total consumption and total income, that is C divided by Y. MPC means change in consumption due to change in income, that is additional consumption due to additional income, denoted by delta C divided by delta Y. Okay? So how can you say? Consumption function or propensity to consume shows the functional relationship between consumption and income. C is a function of Y. C stands for aggregate consumption, Y stands for aggregate income. We have two concepts, average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. Average propensity to consume means the ratio between consumption and income, that is C divided by Y. Marginal propensity to consume means change in consumption due to change in income, that is delta C by delta Y. Consumption function we can show in the form of an equation, numerical equation or algebraic equation also. C is equal to A plus B into Y. Okay, before we study the details of the equation, we have to see the two important statements of the consumption function. Consumption is a function of income. We have two statements. First one, when income is zero, consumption is positive. When income increases, consumption also increases. But the rate of change in consumption will be less than the rate of change in income. What are the statements? When income is 0, consumption is positive. Second statement, income increases, consumption also increases. But the rate of change in consumption will be less than rate of change in income. Why? At higher levels of income, people started to save a part of their increased income. Income, we have two options. Aggregate income is either consumed or saved. Those income not consumed, must be saved. Okay, so why we say when income increases, consumption also increases, but the rate of change in consumption will be less than rate of change in income. What's the meaning? Consumption lags behind income. At higher levels of income, people started to save a part of their increased income. That is why the value of MPC is always positive but less than 1. Now, let us see this equation. C is equal to A plus B into Y. C means consumption. A stands for autonomous consumption. That is consumption at a 0 level of income. What do you mean by autonomous consumption? Consumption at 0 level of income. At 0 level of income, consumption is positive. That point, savings will be negative. It is known as dis-savings or negative savings. Because income is equal to consumption plus saving. Okay. Now, what is B? B stands for MPC. Yes, value of MPC is always positive but less than 1. Y stands for level of income. Okay. Now, let us study consumption function with a schedule and diagram. Schedule. First column we have income in rupees. Second column we have consumption in rupees. When income is 0, consumption is positive. When income increases, consumption also increases. But from the schedule it is clear that the rate of change in consumption will be less than rate of change in income. Income increases 50, 100, 150 like that. Consumption is increasing 20, 60, 100, 140 like that. If you plot income and consumption in a graph, if we plot income and consumption in a graph, we will get CC curve, consumption function curve. Starting from the positive range, upward sloping curve, straight line consumption curve. Okay. OX axis we measure income. OX axis what we measure? OX axis we measure income and OY axis we measure consumption. OX axis we measure income, OY axis we measure consumption. If we plot the various points, we will get the consumption line or the consumption curve starting from the positive range. Income is 0, consumption is positive. Upward sloping straight line. Upward sloping straight line. Here you can see MPC. For example, this point delta Y is equal to 50. Delta Y is equal to 50. Vertical distance delta C is equal to 40. That is income increased from 100 to 150. Consumption increases from 100 to 140. You see the vertical distance and horizontal distance. That shows, the slope of the consumption function curve. That is MPC. That is delta C by delta Y. From the diagram it is clear that Y increases from 100 to 150. Consumption increases from 100 to 140. So here delta C, that is vertical distance. This vertical distance is equal to 40. Delta Y, this horizontal distance is equal to 50. MPC, delta C by delta Y is equal to 40 by 50 is equal to 0.8. Okay. So, what we studied? We studied consumption function in the form of a statement, in the form of an equation, schedule and diagram. Okay. Consumption function or psychological law of consumption or propensity to consume. APC and MPC. APC delta C by delta Y, MPC, APC C divided by Y, MPC delta C by delta Y. Autonomous consumption, income is 0, consumption is positive. Why MPC? Its value is positive but less than 1 because consumption lags behind income. The rate of change in consumption is less than rate of change in income. Okay. When we plot in a graph, we will get a consumption curve, starting from the positive range, upward sloping CC line. The slope of the CC line we can show through MPC, that is delta C by delta Y. This vertical and horizontal distance, delta C by delta Y. Okay. Thank you.